All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemi Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great mercy and do rule well. Salutations to the men of the whole plan, saints elect. This is Makazar from the Trinidad camp. Just want to do a little edification for the elect's sake. And the name of this lesson will be God-minded or God-conscious. What I mean by God-conscious means that you always have the Most High on your mind. You always have Yahweh Shemi Shai on your mind to make sure that you don't go off, that you don't sin. All right. For example, like I like to listen to music, sing songs, whatever the case is. But sometimes you might do things subconsciously. You might be just working and a tune come to your head and you just playing it, or you might just be singing it. But then when you remember, it's like you check it, like, is it the Sabbath? You're making sure that it's not the Sabbath, because you don't want to go off. You don't want to be doing things that unlawful to do on the Sabbath. You might be talking to a woman, and then the direction the conversation might be going. You might be like, "Hey, just now, it's not the Sabbath, right?" Or then while you talk, it's like, "Hey, you have a man, you have a husband." These things you're doing is because you don't want to go off. And that is being God-minded or God-conscious. God-conscious means that you always want to have a conscience void of offense. All right? Once you want to have a conscience void of offense, you would always question yourself, is it lawful or not? And this is being God-minded. This is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14. Wherefore he said, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Mashiach shall give thee light. And the Lord gave us light because we were once dead doing things. We didn't care nothing about the Most High. We just doing whatever we did. All right. Not taking heed to the things that in our conscience, because the law written in our minds. All right. Because the scripture said the law, he wrote his laws in their heart. So the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai wrote his laws in our heart. But at one point, we were walking as the children of disobedience, and we didn't care about what our conscience told us. We just kept doing whatever we felt like. But now we're listening to our conscience, so we always want to have a mind to be mindful of the Most High to make sure that we don't go off, because we're not dead anymore. We are alive and walking in the light. It says, "See then that you walk circumspectly." Circumspectly means that you're walking on eggshells. You're walking. And you make sure, like, you're going to deal with a brother. You want to make sure that, you don't deal with this brother in any way that Yahweh Shai will be offended. All right? To offend that brother. As the scripture says, take heed that ye hate not one of these little ones, for their angels do always stand before the face of the Most High. So you want to be mindful of how you deal with one another, because you don't want to sin against one another and sin against Yahweh Shemi Shai. That is being God-minded. Whereas in the world, some of us were rash with our tongues and we just said whatever came to our minds. No, we don't act that way. Because why? Because we God-conscious. We don't want to sin against the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai. So before we make any action or do anything or think anything, we make sure that what we're doing is lawful. See that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Yeah, and we are about to enter into Jacob's trouble. The time is close. So we want to make sure that we're not sinning against the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai in any way. All right. This is the book of Acts, chapter 24, verse 16. It says, and herein I do exercise myself. So you have to exercise yourself to have always a conscience void of offense towards Yahweh and towards men. So it's not only towards the Most High. You want to make sure that you're not stepping against. You want to make sure that you don't step against your brethren. All right? Because stepping against your brethren is stepping against the Most High, Yahweh Shemi Shai. All right? So even your thoughts, you don't want to control your thought because you don't want to sin. All right? You don't want to do things that are unlawful to do on the Sabbath. You don't want to commit adultery. So you would make sure, hey, you know what? Make sure this woman, she don't have a husband. let me make sure what I eat in here is lawful to eat. You know, things like this. You wanna make sure. Hey, let me make sure what I'm doing is nothing that I will get rebuked for. Instead of just doing whatever you feel like. All right, you always have to have your conscience exercised, as the scripture said that use strong meat have their conscience exercised to know right and wrong. All right, so you have to exercise your conscience, and exercising your conscience means you have to always be God-minded. You have to always be God-minded. You have to always have the most, as we say in the Caribbean, always have the most in the back of your mind. All right, to make sure that you're not going off. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 15. It says, "Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth." So you have to watch. You have to watch. Not only watching the news and watching for these signs, but watch yourself. You have to mark yourself. As Paul said, he keep his body under subjection. So you have to watch yourself too. And keep it his garments. Your garments is your righteousness. Revelation 19 and 8. The white raiment is the righteousness of the saints. So you have to keep your garments. Keeping your garments means that you always have to be God-minded. Make sure that you don't have any spots. It's like you going outside, you dressed in all white. When you dressed in all white and you going out, let's say you go into a wedding or some function or some event, but you dressed in all white shoes, white pants, white shirt, everything, and it's expensive. When you stepping out, you taking heed to everything. You taking heed to where you walk, where you stand. You don't want to lean against anything. You don't want nobody to bounce you. Where you sit, you making sure where you sit that it ain't dirty. Because you don't want to get your clothes, your white clothes, dirty. This is how you have to be in the truth. You have to take heed to everything to make sure that what you're doing, it is lawful, that you don't filthy your white raiment. All right? It says, "Lest he walk naked and they see his shame." So you don't want to look dirty, because you go out into a wedding all decked out in white, paid, hundreds for your suit, thinking that you're looking your best, and then somebody say, "Hey, look, the whole backside of your pants is black." Then you're gonna feel ashamed. So apply that mind to the truth. You don't want to appear before Yahweh Hashem El Shai with filth. So therefore, you have to always be God conscious. All right, you have to always be God conscious. This is 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2. It says, "Speaking lies and hypocrisies, having their conscience seared with a hot iron." And that is how two-thirds are, their conscience seared with a hot iron. All right, it's like you take a branding iron and put it on your skin. Guess what? You're gonna damage your skin. No hair, not gonna grow there. The pores seal up, means that area practically dead. So you don't want your conscience to be dead. All right, you don't want your conscience to be dead. You want to always have your conscience active, to always adhere to the laws of Yahweh Hashem El Shai, where you always God-minded, you always God-conscious. All right, always making sure that you walking within the laws, as the scripture said, "Walk in wisdom to them that are without." All right, there's a mindset that we had to have as men in the truth. There's a mindset that we had to have. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12. It says, "Wherefore let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall." All right, so you have to take heed lest you fall, because you might think that you're doing good, but because you full of pride and you're not taking heed to yourself, guess what? You're not realizing that you're blind and wretched and have need of all things. All right, you have to take heed to yourself and to the gospel. Take heed to what you're doing. Take heed to how you deal with others. Take heed to make sure that you're not sinning against Yahweh Hashem El Shai or your brethren. We have to always be conscious of what we're doing. All right? As the scripture said, "Redeeming your time, for the days are evil." We have to always be conscious of what we're doing. Always be conscious. All right? This is the final precept here. This is Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. It says, "Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. So yeah, so you just have to make sure that wherever you doing, that the Most High, as the scripture saying, these things are delight. Make sure that the things that you're doing is in the light of the Most High. So think on these things. All right? Think on these things. Don't just do things just because you believe it not wrong. Make sure that what you're doing is within the laws of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right? You gotta make sure that whatever you're doing is of good report and it have virtue. And you will be all good with the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So you have to always be God-minded. So with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. I want to give double honor to the apostles of great millstone do rule well. Salutations to the men of the Hope Land Sensei elect. This is your brother Makazar from the Trinidad camp. I want to say shalom and stay strong. Shalom.